The following podcast is brought to you in part by Comedian Flix. So good that it could be for everyone.
Welcome guys, we will talk about Mysterio. Just recently in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 Target exclusive disc, Mark Webb confirmed that the mask we see in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 credits teaser actually belongs to Mysterio. And just recently I came across a commentary on my video. A guy said that this mask still belongs to the Chameleon because Mark Webb is the Chameleon and he lied to us. Everybody is the Chameleon. Now, as you guys know, Mysterio is one of my favorite villains. In fact, he is in my top 3 favorite villains, along with Shocker, by the way. And if you think that Electro deserved to be in a film on the big screen with all the visuals, now think about Mysterio, what type of stuff he could do on the big screen, all the CGIs, all the smoke surrounding Spidey. He will bring the memories of Gwen Stacy, you know, he will appear as Gwen, or he could seriously mess up with Spidey. I think he deserves to be on the big screen. Now, Ben, your take on Mysterio, how do you see? Do you think he will be somehow connected with the Oscorp?
Well, if we have to go with Mysterio's design, sure, we don't want the fishbowl head. I want him looking like Daft Punk.
Yes, and you know, the ultimate Mysterio, the smoke was inside his helmet.
With him working for Oscorp, it's probably not gonna. I hope to God it's not like some Oscorp scientist who likes acting, so he makes Oscorp-y things that make him able to do all those things, but he just likes acting. It would be better if maybe he's a special effects expert and he maybe hires Oscorp to help with special effects for a film, but they fuck it up and they ask him, hey, we like what you do with your effects and your technology. Why don't you come work for Oscorp and kill the Spider-Man?
Wait a second, you mean Oscorp hires him to create effects for Oscorp film?
Maybe. The Oscorp documentary! No. More so maybe uses his technology. Maybe he already invented the holocubes or something, like in the 90s show.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the one thing with having everything tied to Oscorp. I don't know how you're going to have Mysterio tie into it.
Mysterio first appeared in the, as far as I remember, the Amazing Spider-Man issue 13, and he was a special effects guy who created effects for films.
Actually,
he
wanted to be a superhero because he thought Spider-Man was a bad guy.
Yes, and his first action wasn't he was trying to set up Spider-Man for a robbery in a museum.
So he could prove that he's a hero and Spidey's not, because he thought the Daily Bugle was, was telling the truth for once in its long career of lying.
Forrest, your take on Mysterio's origin in Mark Webb's franchise?
Forrest is not here. I am Dr. Kafka.
Hey, sorry about that, guys. Dr. Kafka was.
Forrest, all serious, your take on Mysterio's origin?
I think it could be kind of cool. I mean, it would be funny to see him probably get thrown out of Sony Pictures, but
I mean, in the post-credits teaser, we got to see the mask. It's particularly a theater mask. Maybe he actually is a stage actor. You know, maybe he plays in a theater.
He's in Broadway.
The reason for him to hate Spider-Man, everybody in the Sinister 6 will hate Spider-Man. Now, how do you see it?
Just imagine, one of them just doesn't. He's just like, I'm just here for the money. Hey, Spider-Man, I don't really care.
They just gave me the fishbowl, and I don't know what I'm doing here in this team.
That's kind of how Rhino felt.
I think, back in few years ago, 2 years ago, Emma Stone did say that she signed a three-picture deal, by the way. Three-picture deal. It was actually confirmed by various sources, so I believe that Emma will appear in the maybe Sinister 6 spin-off film already as a hallucination. We do know that Spider-Man is suffering big time, in the comics. He was seeing Gwen everywhere. That's what we will probably see in the Sinister 6 as well. Do you guys believe that Mysterio will try to mess up Spidey on this particular level?
Or Quentin Beck could coincidentally just look like Gwen. So, Mysterio full-time is played by Emma Stone.
Do you have any particular actors in your mind who could play Mysterio?
Well, if we're going for more, I guess, original comic version where he's a special effects guy and he wants to be on the front of the camera and be an actor, but he was considered too ugly looking to be an actor. I've always thought Jackie Earle Haley could make a very intimidating Mysterio.
Benedict Cumberbatch, just because he's in everything.
Of course.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, and about his costume, probably most likely it will be a black leather costume with the type of helmet like the Ultimate Mysterio, I believe so.
No, little helmet on his right arm like Electro.
Well, yeah, Ultimate Mysterio is basically a guy with the blue face in a black leather costume. It will remind a lot of, during the promotional campaign, all the posters, it's like, hey, Electro is back.
It does get me thinking, though, if they're going to be going with that theater mask, like, you know, for Mysterio, maybe they will go with the traditional fishbowl head or something similar to that, and like the theater mask is in the head, is in the fishbowl head, and like it like its mouth moves, and that's how he
Oh yeah,
talks.
that's it. That's very creative. Sony, if you are watching our podcast, please take notes.
Sorry?
Spider-Man for PS1. I do remember this iconic level with Mysterio when he became huge, and Spidey was just a small guy running around dodging stuff. I want to see Mysterio increasing in size. You know, that would be really cool in a big screen. You know, at some point. And the Insidious 6 from the cartoon. There was a scene. Ben, you are a fan of the 1994 cartoon. I think at some point Spidey entered the subway station, and there was a train coming towards
You bring that
him.
up every time.
And there was a train coming. I mean, there are so many possibilities with Mysterio.
I remember they even did one weird one where he goes into catacombs under a movie set, and Mysterio created robots of his villains that he had to fight, including Lizard, Doc Ock, Venom, and Carnage. And he did that all because he loved some robot woman who looked like Mary Jane. Comics are weird!
I do remember the first episode with Mysterio. He created this. Spidey got stuck in a huge web, and there were like huge spiders crawling towards him. That was really. I would love to see something like that as well.
Dinosaur tried to eat him.
Yes.
Giant mechanical dinosaur. How did he become Mysterio in the Spectacular Show? I forget.
I just remember that he showed up and Spider-Man was sick.
Oh.
Maybe they didn't establish his origin.
I do remember the origin of the animated series, though.
Yep, it was Explosion that Spider-Man tried to stop on a bridge, and that got him fired.
Hopefully, you know, Mark Webb did say that the mask belongs to Mysterio, but he isn't really sure that that's the lead up for the Sinister Six. That's who will be in the Sinister Six, actually. So apparently they just placed all these guys in the credits teaser, but they weren't sure that this is the exact lineup for the Sinister Six.
A few months later, confirmed Sinister Six, the Spot, the Walrus.
Hydro Man.
Well, we're getting Hydro Man, then get them both, Sandman and Hydro Man, and let's get Mud Monster.
Also, yeah, I would like to point out one thing is that a lot of people actually want the Chameleon, you know, to be the mask. I think they could do the Mysterio / Chameleon. It will be sort of one character, you know, sort of like if Mysterio will pretend to be somebody else or will create the hallucination of somebody else. There's no point of the Chameleon. I can see Mysterio as a better villain to face Spider-Man, honestly.
Look at the 90s series, and Chameleon was in that, and he was able to convince everyone that he was Spider-Man. But then again, that was the only thing that he really did. I could really only see Chameleon being in there to sort of ruin Spidey's reputation.
That's not Nick Fury. His eye patch is on the other eye.
Yeah, honestly, you know, that's the thing. Out of all the members of the Sinister Six, I'm more excited for the Mysterio, the most excited for, and Doc Ock. As mentioned by Everett, you know, the Sinister Six is a redemption film. So, a redemption, let's say Spider-Man defeats Rhino, you know, in the beginning of the Sinister Six. So Rhino is getting back to the Raft prison, or what? Oh, the Vault prison, and then they release him again. Doesn't really make sense. I don't see how Sinister Six movie is actually, you know, the beginning of the film, how the events will take place. Let's say all of them are already in prison in the Vault, and then 2 years earlier, you know. But that's more like a cartoon or a TV series. It doesn't fit the film really.
You could have it that maybe after Spidey defeats Rhino, Rhino just gets away.
Or the whole setup is that they meet each other in prison. Harry's able to convince them, and it's just a huge breakout scene similar to Guardians of the Galaxy.
The reason they are all in prison already because Spider-Man already defeated them sometime in the past, right?
Probably,
Yeah.
And basically Harry's just trying to find out who's the best person for the job, and he's probably not going to choose Vulture because Vulture's an old fuck. It's similar to how he first faced Rhino, no powers.
I mean, this way, they don't have to introduce all the characters, explaining all the origin story. They're just the criminals, you know, maybe. Just random crooks in the prison.
Yeah.
And Oscorp releases them, and some of them are mutated, like, you know, maybe the Craven, and some are just given costumes, and Harry Osborn comes to them and just say, hey, you want to take your revenge on Spider-Man? Here's your opportunity to kill Spider-Man. And just
Where's
go
the
ahead.
redemption in that? If it's a redemption story, like where's the redemption in there?
Actually, maybe they had the idea for Rhino during the prison while he was in it.
Well, like, one rumor I've heard, or not rumor, but like speculation thing I've heard with people saying, like, oh, if it's a redemption story, maybe it's Peter. You know, like, first they fight Spider-Man in the beginning, but then it's a redemption because they want to go against Oscorp, who stabs them in the back, and then they go after Oscorp in the movie instead of after Spider-Man.
Oh, actually, yes, I've been reading comments about Sinister Six actually fighting Oscorp, not Spider-Man, and that's the reason Spider-Man isn't even mentioned in the Sinister Six film. Ben, you mentioned Oscorp backstabbing them. How do you see it? Why?
They could supply them with the weapons to kill Spider-Man, maybe, but then they don't succeed in killing Spider-Man.
And they are placed in prison, and then they escape by their own.
Yeah, and Oscorp cuts them off, like, doesn't give them any new equipment or anything to...
Wow, that's actually... I can see it work. That's probably the plot of the... We just discovered the plot of the Sinister Six. Woo! I mean, Doc Ock has his arms. Mysterio, let's say his costume, his technology, his fishbowl helmet, whatever, is placed in some sort of cell, you know, in the wall. The ultimate Doc Ock, as far as I remember, he among with Norman and another bunch of guys was placed in the, I think it was in the Raft prison. Shield's prison, it was the Raft, the ultimate prison as far as I remember. And then Doc Ock, they removed Doc Ock's arms. Right?
Yep.
And he was placed in the cell. And I think Doc Ock managed to escape along with Norman by the help of his arms. You know, he manipulated with them.
Actually, I have that comic somewhere.
As far as I remember, so that's how they could... That's actually a brilliant idea. Finally, I can see how it will work. Oscorp abandons the Sinister Six, and the Sinister Six decides to take things on their own. And
like
that's,
I said,
that's the perfect redemption story. But then again, why would they hate Spider-Man so much if they got another enemy, which is Oscorp?
It could start off, as a Spider-Man thing, but then they realized that it's better if they were to get at Oscorp first, because Oscorp could keep interfering with their ways, with them trying to get to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So they team up at the beginning. They hate Spider-Man, so they team up at the beginning to kill him. They fail, and like I said, they do the whole thing. Oscorp stabs them in the back, cuts them off, and then they weren't gonna work together because they thought we couldn't get Spider-Man. But then they're like, okay, we're gonna team up one more time to take down Oscorp, and then we're done. But then they realized after they take down Oscorp, they're not done. They still hate Spider-Man, so they want to take him down too. And then
what if
credits?
No, what if they, as you said, Ben, the Sinister Six starts with Sinister Six, this team formed by Harry Osborn. All of them fail. You know, in the comics, it was that Spider-Man fought each of them one by one until he got to Doc Ock. I believe he was the final opponent, and he defeated them. So let's say all of them, Oscorp tells, well, you failed. Good luck. You are placed in the vault. We don't care about you. They escape. Now they get their technology back from the Vault prison, and they say we are on our own. They try to take a revenge on Oscorp. They attack the Oscorp tower, and Spider-Man interrupts them. And that's why they say, you didn't allow us to take a proper revenge. Now we will hate you even more. How about that? And then Spidey's... Well, yeah, Spidey is facing them all over again, even though he already defeated them. That doesn't make sense. Maybe they will. Well, no,
it would make sense because he wouldn't be fighting them all one at a time. He'd be fighting them all at the same time, and so he'd be kind of flustered. And
what if the Sinister Six ends up with Spider-Man actually getting defeated by the Sinister Six? It will be really funny 2 years from now listening to this podcast and realizing that we predicted the whole film. As Mysterio, we're talking about Mysterio. Personally, as I said, it's my one of my favorite villains, and out of all of them, honestly, Doc Ock is quite interesting. But Mysterio, what he can do to Spidey in terms of mentally and the hallucinations is very interesting. I'm very excited for Mysterio. And guys, you could suggest us, how do you see the origin of Mysterio in the comment section down below? How do you see him defeating Spider-Man? How Spider-Man could defeat Mysterio? As far as I remember, in the original comic, Spider-Man used his one of his best superpowers, arguably the best, spider sense. He was surrounded by the smoke, and he managed to hit Mysterio using his spider sense. Probably that's the case in the film as well.
If you guys think it differently for the Sinister Six movie, please let us know in the comments as well. What do you think it's going to be? Do you think it's going to be...
And don't hate on Ben.
Exactly.
Please!
Forrest, thanks for joining as well. Let us know what you guys think down below in the comments.
I'm very happy to be part of these podcasts as well. No, Dr. Kappa!
You've got a split personality just like Norman in the Amazing Spider-Man 1. In the Spider-Man 1.
Oh god, Dr. Kafka, Green Goblin.
You killed him! We killed him! Don't you remember?
No, I don't have a split personality. What gave you that idea? Don't if we do this experiment together. Stop it, Kappa! I do not want you to embarrass me.